Hello and welcome back to SBK's channel. Whether you're watching on YouTube, Spotify, or on the SBK app, thank you very much for clicking on this podcast, and hopefully you're going to enjoy the next 15 minutes or so. Tom Collins here alongside Ross Millar to preview day 2 of Royal Ascot 2025, Wednesday's action, and it is a phenomenal card. We are recording this before action takes place on Tuesday. We have a busy schedule, as I'm sure you will know, and hopefully we can provide some winners, but we won't have any draw biases at the time of recording this podcast. Hopefully it's a pretty fair track. Last year, it seemed like on day 1 you wanted to be one side and day 2 the other, so it would be guesswork anyway. Ross, how does the day 2 card stack up to you compared to day 1 in terms of quality of horses, but also in terms of the easiness of punting?
Oh, well, I'd like to answer that having known how day 1 went, TC, but I think the quality, I preferred the look of the day 1 card, if I'm honest. I thought there was a real classy feel to that. Not so much of this, found this a little bit harder going, but there's a couple of prices that the more I've dug, the more I like them, particularly when I saw one of your selections as well. So we'll get to that later.
Yes, indeed. Before we get into our race-by-race previews, a quick reminder of SBK's offers. SBK is offering a 20% racing multiples boost throughout this week, every single day. You need minimum 4 legs to apply for that. T's and C's also apply, but go check that offer out. It's fantastic if you like putting horses together, which I'm sure most punters do this time of year at Royal Ascot, Cheltenham, etc. So that is one you should be looking out for all week. SBK is also offering a 20% winnings boost on an individual race every single day this week. Wednesday's individual race is the Queen's Vase, which I think is a 305. So if you fancy something in that race, bet on SBK, you will get a bigger return on the same horse that you would bet anywhere else. It definitely makes sense to do that. There's also a new customer offer for SBK, which I'll mention at the end if you're not already signed up. Okay, let's begin with Wednesday's full card then. We'll kickstart this off with the Queen Mary. Run at 2:30, a Group 2 forward to the Juvenile Fillies. The pace in this race, Ross, looks like it's going to come from Zelena, who is your favourite at around 9-4, and Lenny Lou, the US horse in here, she's around 7-1. They top the market, so is the pace going to hold up?
I think it might well do, TC. Wathnan Racing, Carl Burke won this with Liavani last year, and they've got Zalania here. She also won the same maiden that Liavani won last year at Nottingham in really good fashion. It looked like a piece of work. Like I don't think the plan was to go forward as she did, but nothing could take her forward. James will end up making the run, and she ran a little bit green as she picked up, but then scooted away under sort of fairly easy handling. And then in the post-race interview, Carl Burke said that she would have needed it because she'd missed 10 days of work, which was probably quite a frightening fact. He did, though, just mention that she was quite a hot filly. And I meant to mention this on the Day 1 podcast. With all horses, but particularly the juveniles, you will see plenty of them run their race before they even get out on the track. There's a big atmosphere. They have to go under that arch. Watch that, particularly with her, given that she's hot. I would almost rather take a slightly shorter price in and get down to the start and not having boiled over than back her at sort of an opening show. I think she's really hard to oppose. She looks like she's got, from our point of view, a nice drawing that can probably go anywhere from where she's drawn. Just one at a bigger price, and I think it's been overlooked, is Cardiff by the Sea for Fozzie Stack, 24-1 with SBK. I think it's been overlooked by the market just because she hasn't got that all-important one next to her name in the form line. But she finished runner-up to Charles Darwin on her debut. Charles Darwin had the benefit of 2 previous runs. He's a big, strong colt. He's favourite for the Norfolk. She was 3 1/4 lengths behind him, but she was in turn 3 1/4 lengths clear of the third. The third has come out and run really well since. Oisin Murphy on board, drawn bang next to the favourite, so plenty of pace to carry into the race. I like what she did last time. I think she perhaps weakened a little bit in the closing stages. Perhaps her first run, she might step forward for it. 24-1, I could definitely have a little bit on her. But like I said, just watch the favourite get down to the start and check she hasn't bored over, because they have said that she's quite hot.
Yeah, a couple of alternative options there then, with Ross going with Zelena, the favourite, who was 9-4 when I started talking a second ago, but I just had a look and is now just a shade over 2-1, so could be down to 2-1 or even shorter by the time you are watching this. Cardiff by the Sea at a much bigger price. I thought this was a race to maybe look at a horse that was going to come from off the pace, just because I think these 2 speedballs up top could go very quick. And on this stiff track, you have to stay well, and I'm not sure that either of them do. I want to put emphasis on not sure. We don't know too much about these horses at this time. I just have an inkling that both of these horses are proper speedballs, and if they do go too hard, then a horse from just off the speed may capitalise. A quick word on Lenny Lou. She is literally speed. She is a US filly, a typical US filly. She will burst out the gate, she will fly early under Louis Sayers, and she will try to hold on. And I think she could really set it up for Harry's Girl, who's going to be my pick in here at a bigger price. Richard Hannon's runner won first time up at Newmarket on good to soft. That ground wouldn't have suited. She then went to the Mary Gate. I thought the ride was about a 6 out of 10. Probably should have held on to her a little bit longer and she would have won. But just went a little bit too soon and then got collared late. She has one burst, and it's a really good burst, a great turn of foot, but it doesn't last very long. If she can track Lenny Lou into the race, I think she could be produced at the right time and hopefully hold off all comers. But she's a big price in a race that is wide open. We should briefly touch on True Love as well for Aidan O'Brien. Aidan's got a good record in this race. Quick word, Ross. A horse that hasn't won a race coming into Royal Ascot, would that be a negative for you, or because they're so inexperienced, are you fine with it?
No, I'm fine with it if I'm getting a price like I am with Cardiff by the Sea. Aiden's, I think if they're not winning second, third start, you start to worry a little bit because they do like to get the maiden out of the way fairly quickly. I just thought she looked a bit weak at the finish a couple of times, and you're certainly not going to want that here, I don't think.
Yeah, I'm going to have a little saver on her. I prefer Harry's Girl as my pick here. A little saver on her just purely because of the draw and the fact that she ran second to Gestard, who was well fancied on Tuesday. But hopefully she can run a good race. But it's a very competitive race, and you can have numerous darts and still not find the winner. That is the Queen Mary. On to the Group 2 Queen's Vase at 305 now. This is the race that SBK is offering that 20% winnings boost on. So hopefully we can go through this with a fine-tooth comb. Favourites have won the last 3 editions. Aidan O'Brien's won 5 of the last 10. Aidan O'Brien, favourite, Shackleton. Maybe he can enhance both of the trends here. What do you think?
Fine tooth comb, TC, as you can see, I don't have much need for a fine tooth comb these days. And I struggle with this. When you said, how did I think of the quality of this day, this was the race I went to, and I just wasn't really sure about it. So if I'm being very honest, I've slightly defaulted to Shackleton, largely because of his connections. They got a really good record in this race. He's just looked a bit devoid of pace a couple of times. Like he was shuffled back last time over a mile and two in a Group 3, but he was shuffled back because he didn't have the pace to go for the gap that they were trying to go for. He did finish to good effect. He looks quite tenacious. He's by Camelot, so you'd like to think there's plenty of stamina there. But the Dan was a sprinter. Just coming to his run style suggests that he'll improve for this step up in trip. And they've just got such a good record in the race. And then when I was looking for something else, I just didn't really fancy much. I couldn't make a compelling argument for anything. I've slightly let Aidan O'Brien's amazing record make my argument for me. And I was heartened to see that you went with the same one, but perhaps you'll be able to put more meat on the bone.
No, not really. I was also the same as by default, and I don't like doing this, especially on a favourite, but it was hard to make a strong case for any of the others. I like Shackleton's profile. I think stepping up in trip will be a big advantage. And last time, yes, he didn't exactly go as well as expected, but this horse throughout his career so far, short career, has always gone off a short price. They think he's quite talented. There is no doubt about that. And maybe the big step up in distance will see a change of fortune for him. Ryan Moore at, well, any venue really. I was going to say Ascot, but any venue is different gear. So I think Shackleton is the likely winner. It's not a race I'll be punting in. One quick note though, you do generally want a low draw in this contest because that first turn comes up really quickly and horses on the outside can be fanned wide. It's just not ideal. Okay, back to the fillies and mares now for the Duke of Cambridge Stakes. That's at 340. Another Group 2 here. Running Lion won this last year. She's back with first-time cheap pieces. Fallen Angel, a two-time Group 1 winner, is in this race with first-time cheap pieces. Neither of them are favourite though, Ross. Cinderella's Dream is taking the money. This seems like plan B for this horse.
Yeah, it does. As we know, I'm a little bit more loyal when it comes to my punting than you, and I tipped her up last time, and she did me a good turn. I'm just not sure about it though, and I'm a big fan of Fallen Angel. I've been with her from her juvenile days. I've loved her. I'm slightly concerned to see them reach for the headgear. I have to be honest, and I'm just not convinced that she's at her best on ground. That I think unless something strange happens, is going to be riding good to firm. I liked her, but I very nearly tipped her. I sort of have my notes written and I've defaulted at the last minute. So whether that's a smart move or not, to a bigger price, 14-1 with SBK Soprano, and we've got 8 runners. Just going back to that matron run at Leopardstown, just half a length behind Fallen Angel, sticking on really well. And we know that Soprano likes quicker ground. She won at this track last year, albeit in a handicap. That was in the standing off a mark of 100, and I thought she was a pretty emphatic winner at the line. She was really running on very strongly. I'm hoping this is run at a strong pace with last year's winner in headgear, who let's face it, could do anything. I like George Bowie at Royal Ascot. I think he's a really smart trainer. And just when it came down to it, a bigger price, when I can find a form line that brings her to within half a length of Fallen Angel, I've gone with her, and I hope I'm not going to regret it with Fallen Angel.
I have both of those two horses on my shortlist as my final two, actually, Soprano and Fallen Angel. I just went the other way with Fallen Angel, just purely because she's a two-time Group 1 winner. We know she's capable of winning at higher levels than this. Her reappearance run came in the Lock-Inge. It was an okay performance. Last year, she was very good throughout the whole campaign. I just think she's the best horse in the race, and I'm surprised she's not favourite. Maybe it is those cheap pieces being put on for the first time that are providing some doubt to punters, but I don't know. I think she should be the jolly in here. I don't like Cinderella's Dream at all. Maybe I'm wrong there, but the price is just way too short. And this is a race where I want to be opposing her with something. So I'll be betting Fallen Angel in this contest. The feature on day 2 comes up at 4:20, as per the feature every day. And it's the Group 1 Prince of Wales Stakes. Cracking race. 9 runners. There were 10 in the initial confirmation, but White Birch hasn't been declared due to the ground. Los Angeles is your favourite at around 9-4. I think his price is going to drift by post time, but it depends on what Aidan and Ryan do over the first day and a half. Ross, I think we share the same opinion in this, do we?
Yeah, I think we do, TC, and he's still a good price, and Matt, for Owen Burrows. Okay, he didn't go and get it done in the Tassels Gold Cup last time, but that was his first start. Los Angeles already had a start, and this was a non-runner. So, as we discussed on the preview pod, I think he carried plenty of race fitness into that. And Matt absolutely breezed up to him and then past him. I've watched it a couple of times. I'm still slightly of the opinion that he doesn't do a whole heap when he gets to the front, but he also clearly got tired on his first start for quite some time. Owen Burrows seemed pretty emphatic that he would step forward for that. Much has been made of the ground, but he's won plenty of times on good to firm ground, albeit at a lower level. But I do think that can often be a bit of a sort of misnomer in that if they don't like the ground, they don't like the ground, and I just think he'll cope absolutely fine with it. We know he likes the track. Los Angeles is a really strong stayer, and I wouldn't want to see Jim Crowley getting dragged into deep water too far out. You've got Ryan Moore on Los Angeles, Jim Crowley on Anmac. If you switch to jockeys, I'd be all in on this horse. But you're up against Ryan Moore, and that's never a nice place to be. But I just hope tactically Jim Crowley gets it right, doesn't give him too much to do, doesn't get there too soon, gives him the perfect ride, and I think he's the best horse in the race.
I completely agree. I think he's way the best horse, actually, Anmar. 4-1 at the time of recording with SBK. I think he'll go off a shorter price. There are obviously concerns about the ground, but he's a 3-time good to firm winner, so I don't think it's that much of a problem. His Champion Stakes victory is the best piece of form in this race, and as Ross has already talked about, he's shaped like the best horse last time in the Tattersall's Gold Cup. I actually had a look back at some intricacies with the statistics from that race. Los Angeles has way the bigger stride, 7.7 metres, Anmar around 7.4. I know it doesn't sound like much, but it really is. Continuous was the smallest, shortest striding horse at 7.2 metres in that race. So Los Angeles is this big grinder. He's got no turn of foot. He's just a one-paced galloper. Anmar clocked a miles per hour, 1 miles per hour, higher than Los Angeles did, 40.3, I think, compared to Los Angeles' 39.3. There's a big difference there. Jim just has to produce him at the right time. That is it. And I think Anmar will win this race. But Ballydor could dictate it with Continuous up front. Fascinating contest that, and hopefully we're on the right horse with Anmut. Next up, hopefully we're on the right horse here, but it's a big contest. 30 runners in the Royal Hunt Cup. One of these contests, Ross, that we look forward to every single year at Royal Ascot. You could go numerous different ways. Which way have you gone?
I've gone one either side, TC, and hedged my bets. The first one is bullet point for William Haggas, Tom Marquand. I mean, fairly obvious credentials, I suppose, and he's going for a 4-timer, having won off 74, 83, 74, 83, 89, now off 97. That's a big step up, but he just looks really a long way ahead of the handicapper. The penny seems to have dropped. He was an emphatic winner last time. I think you'll like the track. He seems a strong stayer at this trip. He's in stall 2, so he's over one side. And then the other one, I'm getting more confident with this as I go along, is Epictetus for the Osbornes, formerly with the Gosdens, rated 113, now down to 101, having been dropped £3 for his stable debut at Newbury, where he finished 5th, beaten 5.25 lengths behind My Cloud, who's the favourite or current favourite for this. Gets an £8 pull for that. That was his first start for just over 10 months. I didn't think William Carver was all that tough on him in the closing stages. Looked to give him 2 flicks with a stick. I wouldn't be surprised if they were air shots more than anything. Once his winning chance was gone, just nudged him out. He's bound to step forward to that. He went off 13-2 for the Hampton Court 2 years ago. That sort of says what sort of quality horse he is. Might perhaps have his own idea about things, but I think a big field handicap might just suit him. And I think Saffie Osborne is a step up in terms of jockey booking. I'm quite sweet on him at 27-1.
Yeah, I am too. I'm a bit disappointed though, I have to admit, because when I first put these selections in, as I say, we're recording this on Tuesday. Put the selections in, I think it was Monday night or Tuesday morning. The horse was 66s, and I thought this could be a real like long shot, complete free hit to nothing. But it seems like there are more people that fancy this horse than just Ross and I. Epictetus also for me in here. I like his draw. He's got lots of talent, and as Ross said, his handicap mark is quite tasty. The Osbornes did me a good favour with Hickory at Ascot earlier in the season, and hopefully they can do the same with Epictetus. They've got a great chance on Thursday as well, which you'll be able to hear in our Thursday daily podcast tomorrow if you're watching this. I also like Fox Legacy, who I probably like a little bit more than Epictetus, but I'll have split stakes across both due to prices. Fox Legacy was running over longer distances last year for Sir Michael Stout. Quite a few of Sir Michael's horses have actually improved drastically since moving out of his yard. Obviously, he retired and joining someone else this term. And Fox Legacy was one of those when he won first time up at Newmarket over a mile and one. I think Andrew Balding seems to have unlocked something with him, and dropping back again in trip could see this horse in better light. He is going to be strong late, and quite a few of these horses will be tired in the final furlong. He won't be, and that could be the big angle with him. So Fox Legacy and Epictetus for me, Epictetus and Bullet Point for Ross. My Cloud is the current 9-2 favourite for the Royal Hunt Cup. Okay, on to the Kensington Palace Stakes next. That's at 5:35, the penultimate race on day 2 of Royal Ascot. This is another race for the fillies and mares. Lots of those on Wednesday. Straight track, 1 mile the distance. Where's your money going?
I'm going once more with Arasaig, and I know you like her too, and I almost feel a bit apologetic because I don't seem to be able to get this horse over the line. I've followed her over a cliff. I watched it back a couple of times. I still don't know how she didn't win last time at Ascot. It wasn't Callum Shepherd's finest moment, I don't think, and I like Callum Shepherd. I know he sort of divides opinion, but she just travelled so beautifully into the race, and then for whatever reason, when she was meant to go, he sort of waited, and the winner got first run, and she finished really strongly. Jamie Spencer jumps on. They clearly feel like she needs to come late and come fast. Well, Jamie Spencer is your man for that sort of ride on the big stage, isn't he? Particularly at Ascot. I think she's really well handicapped. She's not won enough. That's the concern. She can find a way of getting beat, but she's 11-1. I think if she'd have won last time, she'd be much, much shorter. I think she's a talented filly for Charlie Johnston, and I'm quite sweet on Arasaig.
Yeah, me too. Again, quite a lot of agreeing in this podcast. If you have been a follower of SBK on YouTube and seen our podcast for a long period of time, or even a short period of time, Ross and I don't tend to agree this much, but we are on day 2 of Royal Ascot. I'm with Arasaig. Jamie Spencer is the perfect jockey for this horse. I think she hangs a little bit under pressure. Sometimes she doesn't fully go through with it either. And I think Jamie producing her late will be the ideal tactic for Arasaig. I love the jockey booking. I don't love the draw. That is a little bit of a concern, but we'll see how the track pans out over the first day in a bit. Bearing in mind, Rainbow's Edge is favourite in here at 7-2. Arasaig is 11-1. The discrepancy makes no sense. £2 weight swing. I know the favourite has the capability of improving a great deal after just 3 outings, but Arasaig is yet to really show her best this term, and I don't think much separates them. So she's definitely the value play and a big winning contender. Finally, we're going to end our day 2 daily podcast with the Windsor Castle for the 2-year-olds. Again, massive field. Another race where you probably want to take a shot at a bigger price horse or maybe split your stakes between a couple. Ross, are you taking one of those approaches?
To a degree, I'm going to have 2 goes at it, TC, but I think, in these big field races, you can afford to do that. 2 that are drawn down the middle. First is Rogue Supremacy for David O'Mara, Danny Tudhope. One at Wetherby just over 2 weeks ago. The form probably doesn't amount to much, and they didn't go particularly hard in the early stages, but sometimes a horse just catches your eye. He just breezed through the race, got to the front pulling double, and just lengthened away. Looked like a horse that would stay further. That was 5.5 furlongs at Wetherby. Looked like they could step up to 6, but clearly has bags of pace, and they come here. It's a fairly quick turnaround, which is a slight concern. And of course, it could just be that he looked very good against very moderate horses. But there was just something about him that really captured my imagination. I'm going to stick with him and hope that I'm proven right. And then the other one is Logie Bear, who is a slight loyalty pick in that I do for the juvenile watch, sort of a winner in waiting, and he was the first one I put up, and he did win, which always goes down well. One at Newmarket, stepped up to 6 furlongs. I thought the step up in trip was going to be the key. But actually, he was the winner at every point of the race at Newmarket. He'd have won over 5 furlongs as well. Then he went to Epsom on Derby weekend, ran over 6, didn't look to quite get home, but battled really tenaciously. And I'm absolutely certain he hated the track. Showed loads of early speed. He's had 4 runs. He's got loads of experience. It's obviously, again, quite a quick turnaround, but he just looks like he might be a sort of tough, hardy little 2-year-old for the Hammond Yard. He's 59-1. I think he'll give you a really good run for your money. He'll come home strong, and he might just be the one to side with.
Logie Bear then at a huge price, 59-1 for Ross, and also Rogue Supremacy at 13-2. Just watch out with your Rogues, because the current favourite for the Windsor Castle is Rogue Legend for Paddy Toomey. A couple of horses at the top of the market, and don't mix them up if you like one or the other. The other horse at the top of the market is the horse I'm going to be with, and that is Old is Gold for Andrew Balding. I thought the debut at Ascot, he shaped like he was way the best horse, but he just took a blow in the final 100 yards and lost that race after hitting the front and travelling so smoothly throughout the whole portion of it. And then last time he went to Beverley for a pretty good race, and he showed some good professionalism that day, got the job done in nice fashion, beating one of Wathnan's, who they really like, who I think is in the Norfolk and around 4-1, Naval Light. And that form looks strong to me. Wathnan has subsequently purchased this horse. If that's a sign, well, I'm pretty sure it is a sign, then you've got to factor it in that they think the form is strong. And I think Andrew Balding's going to get more improvement out of him. I don't love Gate 7, but it looks like the majority of those towards the top of the market are drawn middle. So maybe they'll come down the centre and it won't be a negative at all. Ross, as per day one, we've got to come up with a quick multiple for this day of Royal Ascot. It's a 20% racing multiples boost with SBK every day. That is their offer. So we're just trying to kind of fit that. 2 selections each. Who are you adding?
Well, I just go with 2 of your selections, TC, and then I can absolve myself of all responsibility unless it cops. Epictetus and Shackleton. We both agree on them. I think Shackleton looks, like he should be the best horse in that race. And Epictetus, we both sort of quite fancy at a price.
Yeah, I'm going to add in Anne Martin Araseg. It will be a 5,000-1 multiple, but you can play it each way, and it will still fit with the offer from SBK. And as we've said many times before, no point chucking your shorties in. It's boring, and also you don't need us to tell you to put those in the accumulators. So there are 4 for a multiple if you do want to take advantage of that offer. SBK is also offering a 20% winnings boost on the Queen's Vase, the 305 on Wednesday, just as a reminder. And also new customers for SBK. I did say I'd say this offer at the end, so here you go. You sign up to SBK, you bet £10 and you get £40 in free bets. T's and C's do apply. Go check that out. Make sure you bet with SBK. Lots of great odds and boosts. Any other promotions across the week, you can check them out on the SBK app, as well as any of our podcasts. Just go to the SBK app, listen to them in the horse racing page, and it Bob's your uncle. I mean, phenomenal stuff, that app. Okay, I mean, it's about 2:10 on Tuesday. We've got to go watch the Queen Anne. Make sure you join us again for Thursday's preview, where we'll go through all the races again in the space of 20 minutes. Goodbye.